Welcome to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with your host, Lisa Kilrea. In each episode, we explore how great leaders build trust, inspire teams, and turn meaningful connections into real success.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kilrea, host of In Good Company, where relationships drive results. On this show, I talk with leaders and innovators across manufacturing, distribution, and B2B industries about the paths that led them to where they are today and how they could think about the issues, opportunities, and challenges shaping their world. This episode is sponsored by WSI eResults, revolutionizing digital marketing for the B2B and manufacturing industries. At WSI eResults, we help B2B manufacturers, distributors, and those that service those in this space elevate their digital presence with AI-powered, data-driven strategies that generate targeted, high-quality leads and help businesses grow. From SEO and content marketing to tailored multi-channel campaigns built specifically for the unique challenges of industrial businesses, WSI eResults provides the expertise and tools to help you stand out, grow, and thrive. Learn more at wsi-manufacturing-marketing.com. Your blueprint for smarter, more effective manufacturing marketing. I have Chad here from Rise 25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, and we have flipped the script here, and he will be interviewing me today. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Lisa. Great to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, I'm looking forward to kind of hearing a little bit more about WSI and everything that you guys do. So tell me, what specific services does WSI offer for manufacturers?
Yeah, we are a full service AI-driven digital marketing company. So we really pride ourselves on being strategy first and not just implementing marketing and spending money without having a strategy or plan. So strategy is really foundational to everything we do. But, the implementation of that strategy is also critically important. And that's where our team comes into play. So, we develop websites, we audit websites and fix them. We develop digital strategies, as I mentioned. We implement SEO programs, digital advertising campaigns, email marketing, social media, at marketing automation. So CRM integration with marketing platforms. So, like I said, we are full service. We've got expertise in all aspects of digital marketing.
Okay, great. So let's say I was interested in potentially becoming a client. How would you determine if I was a good fit for what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would have a conversation and it's always a two-way street. Are we a good fit for the client and are they a good fit for us as the agency? And I think those those initial conversations really shed a lot of light on, both ways. Are we a good fit for each other? I think foundationally, it really starts with an open mindset and having some fundamental understanding of the value of digital marketing and AI. Because if you don't understand that value, it really doesn't matter what I say. You're not going to believe me. You're not going to listen. You're not going to ask for a proposal. And I'm probably not going to develop a strategy for you. So there has to be some very basic understanding in what we do and what it could do for them. I would then say, do they have, not only do they understand, but do they have the right mindset? Do they understand what needs to be done to do it correctly to maximize the ROI? So, you come across all types of people in business, whether they're clients or not. And I think one example would be if someone doesn't understand the level of work it takes, it wants to cut corners. I would say corner cutters are going to jeopardize a strategy. And WSI as a company does not do business knowingly with clients, um, you know, who are going to cut corners and jeopardize the strategy. I mean, achieving results is difficult enough, and to not do it the right way in the right order is not something I would want to be a part of. Um, I think probably also, I think money comes into play.
Hmm.
Do they have the budget? Can they afford it? Because again, there's kind of a baseline level that a new client should start with.
Hmm.
And if it's any lower than that, um, in a sense, that's cutting corners and we're not going to get the results. Um, and I wouldn't, I always say, well, this is typically our starting point. I can do things for less, but you're not going to get the results you want. So I don't know why anybody would want to be in a business arrangement like that. So usually, people part ways if they're not on the same path with what needs to be spent. So I would say that those are two critical things. I think maybe a third one would be their internal infrastructure
Hmm.
and their openness to accept outside help.
Mm.
So what I have found over the years is that, our type of ideal client, our kind of sweet spot, is really that B2B company, whether it's a manufacturer or distributor or a company that services manufacturers and distributors, is that they don't have the internal resources. They don't have the team.
Hmm.
They're usually very sales driven. So they might have a VP of marketing or a VP of sales. It might be VP of business development. They might even throw in and marketing into the title. But really, their marketing is more trade show, printed materials, more traditional, non-digital type stuff.
Hmm.
They might have a marketing coordinator in-house, and they might have one salesperson or they might have a full team. So there's a definite void of marketing or digital expertise in-house. That's usually a really good fit for us.
Mm.
Um, on the other end of the spectrum, if a company has, you know, 20 marketing people, um, that usually is not as much of a fit unless they're coming in or coming to us asking us to do an audit or an analysis of one part of their strategy. So they usually, there's a little bit of ego stuck in there. We know what we're doing. We've got the people. We're smart. So for an organization like that, our role is usually very specific. It's not that we're their outsourced marketing team like we are
Hmm.
for either smaller companies or companies that are structured differently.
Hmm. So let's say, we've had that initial conversation, and maybe it's a good idea for me to start working with WSI. What can I expect?
Well, you can expect, I would say you can expect a process.
Hmm.
And I don't want to say we're regimented and rigid, but there's the upstart, the beginning phases of it are going to be, we have to get this stuff. We need to do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to get through that checklist of information gathering, learning their business, getting access to their platforms, doing some analysis. So we're not going to just jump right into it.
Hmm.
And we're not going to just flip the switch on a marketing campaign just to get it going. We're going to do the right things first. We're going to get our ducks in a row. We're going to work collaboratively with the client. Because if we don't, we work in a vacuum. We make false assumptions. We don't know their business yet. The marketing program's ready to go, and it won't get launched because we don't have client buy-in. So there's definitely going to be quite a bit of initial interaction with the client.
Hmm.
So they're involved in the onboarding and the development of the strategy, and the kickoff.
So it's kind of a
Um,
step-by-step process.
it is. Yes, very much so.
How long then does it usually take before we, start seeing maybe leads starting to materialize?
Yeah, that varies by client. It depends on what we're doing for them, and it depends on what they've done before we've met them. So there's a couple different scenarios there. If they've done nothing and we're starting with a clean sheet of paper,
Hmm.
it's going to take a little bit longer because oftentimes those types of clients, which we have many of them, they are virtually invisible to Google. They have no digital presence, no digital exposure. So to begin building that credibility is going to take some time. I would say in that scenario, for something like search engine optimization, it can take 6, 7 months to start gaining that momentum.
Hmm.
That's not to say we won't see results before that, but until it becomes more consistent and continuously grows month after month, it's going to take a little bit of time. Um, on the flip side, there's things like digital advertising that we would see results much quicker. So I would say within, 30, 45 days, we can have a campaign live. We can start getting traffic to the website. There might be some conversions in terms of forms coming through the website or phone calls. So it really depends on what the strategy is, and if there was a previous digital strategy. Sometimes a previous digital strategy is just as challenging because maybe it wasn't working, maybe it was broken, and we're trying to fix something
Hmm.
and we're rebuilding. So, it's kind of like remodeling a house. Sometimes it's easier to tear it down and just start over. So, again, there's not a one size fits all approach
Hmm. So I know,
with how long it will take.
like maybe Google Ads, you pay by the month. With that first month, should you maybe not expect a huge return on ad spend for that first month?
Well, first month is probably going to be set up.
Okay.
I mean, it can be done in less than a month. You can probably do it in a couple weeks.
Hmm.
But then your first 30 days of a campaign.
Hmm.
So if it's 1 week of setup, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the case may be, the campaign really starts when it goes live.
Okay.
And you will see traffic in month one.
Mm.
And you could get phone calls and form submissions. So you could see something coming out of it within those first 30 days. Um, it's really dependent on the budget. Again, you know,
Mhm.
a $500 budget a month budget is really not a budget. And then other companies spend thousands a month, and big companies spend hundreds of thousands a month. So it really depends. The digital ad campaigns do take typically 2 to 3 months to optimize. So, while you might start seeing results in month one, there is a period of time where there's still a lot of work being put into the campaign to get it kind of humming along.
So when can clients start to see maybe a positive return on investment?
That again varies depending on what you're doing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, for digital ads, it could be quicker. That could be, a lot of our clients, since we're in the B2B industrial space, um, they're a longer purchase cycle. They're higher value, which means, in week one of a digital ad campaign, you're probably not going to close a deal. So it's
Mm.
very different when you're talking thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in a for a purchase from a new customer
Hmm.
versus $100 piece of clothing that's bought online. I
Mm.
mean, it's a much more complex, technical, long purchase cycle. And as a result, the strategies are very different because, selling online with a piece of clothing versus selling a big piece of manufacturing equipment that sells for $1 million, is going to require a different approach. And that's what we specialize in. So for our types of clients, it could take one client, one new customer, one piece of equipment to be bought that year to pay for the entire investment for the
Mm,
year.
yeah,
And
gotcha.
that purchase might not happen week one. It
Sure.
might happen week 42. I mean, but you want to start seeing those leads come in and you want to start building your pipeline and populating your CRM with these leads and then nurturing those leads through marketing automation.
So you guys offer quite a few services. You kind of listed those out a little bit earlier. How do all those things kind of work together? SEO, paid ads, content, automation, things like that.
Yeah. I love that question because they all work together. If they're not optimized. You have an ineffective strategy. Everything should be linked and integrated. And an idea, I mean, a single channel campaign can work, just digital advertising, just SEO. But when you start layering on other channels and you have a multi-channel approach, that's where it all kind of works together. And 1 + 1 = 3.
So in terms of SEO, you talked about SEO maybe takes a little bit longer than ads to really kind
Mhm.
of kick in. Um, should manufacturers think of that as a cost or an investment?
It definitely should be looked at as an investment. Um, I mean, digital marketing, including SEO, is not an expense item like buying janitorial products to keep your shop floor clean. This is an investment in growth, with the goal being to get new customers, which means additional revenue, which means a positive ROI. So it's definitely an investment in your business and definitely and as well as an investment in your website. So
Mm.
the more marketing and the more you invest in your website, the more authority it has with Google and the LLMs, which means you're going to get more digital visibility over time, which means more new customer acquisition and a greater ROI.
So a client might hear, okay, I can get maybe faster results with a paid ad campaign. I'm going for that. What are realistic expectations once you decide that's what you're going to do?
Um, well, I think one thing I would point out,
Hmm.
and we've come across this quite a bit, is it's never good to put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm.
Um, so a multi-channel strategy or approach is the better strategy than saying
Hmm.
I'm going to do everything here. Um, so I would caution a client. I mean, that there are pros and cons to digital advertising, and there are pros and cons to SEO. There's pros and cons to every option out
Hmm.
there. But the benefits of digital advertising are that you can get pretty quick results. You can turn it on and off, you know, whenever you want. I mean, you can turn it off in December if December is a slow month for you. If you
Mm.
got peak seasons, you can increase your budget. You can geographically target certain parts of the country where you can't do that with search engine optimization, for example.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a national thing and global sometimes. Once you get really well optimized, you'll start getting international visitors, whether you want them or not. But with paid advertising, you can be very specific. So the other thing with paid advertising is that, you know, it's one of those things that you get the results as long as you're paying Google. So as
Mm.
long as you feed the beast, you're going to get traffic back to your website,
Mm.
which hopefully is good traffic that converts into a phone call or form. However, the second you stop spending money and the second you stop giving that to Google, the traffic 100% disappears.
Gotcha.
Whereas with search engine optimization, you're building authority in your website. And once you're optimized and you're stable, you can pull back, you can pause it for a little while, and you're still going to get that traffic coming and you're still going to get those leads coming through. So SEO is more a long-term investment in your website, and paid advertising plays a different role. It's not a long-term investment in your website because if you don't spend, you don't get.
Hmm.
But you can get quick results and quick traffic, and it can be a complement to other strategies or other programs within the overall strategy. So you just have
Okay.
to you have to help the clients understand the role
Hmm.
of the options
Hmm.
and not to expect too much out of one thing, and understand the trade-offs.
So I could see after talking to you, like, okay, I should keep my expectations realistic, but maybe I really have high hopes. How do you kind of set and manage client expectations for results?
Well, we try to be honest from the get-go.
Hmm.
I mean, if someone's talking about, and this has happened, someone's talking about, well, I'm going to have to start getting my recruiter on board, because I'm going to have to start hiring more people when, you know, when all these leads start coming through, and it's like, I'm not going to let that comment pass.
Mm.
That might be a slight exaggeration of what someone would say, but there have been comments made by potential clients where they think it's going to be a floodgate that opens. And there is no floodgate. There is no magic bullet. It's really about doing the right things at the right time and building momentum. So as the leads come through and you build your pipeline, especially for our type of client, again, high value, high ticket, long purchase cycle, they're not going to have 10 orders coming in month one and be beyond capacity.
Hmm.
Um, so you just really have to manage expectations. And if they don't like what they hear, that is a perfect example of a company that's probably not a good fit for us. Because I don't want to manage the fallout when they don't get the results. And if I didn't tell them, that's on me. If they didn't listen to me, that's on them. And they can, I hate to say it, they can go find another agency, and they're probably going to find someone who's going to take their money. And they're not going to get the results that they told us they wanted to get, and they're going to be disappointed.
Hmm. So we've developed a strategy and we're implementing it. What kind of support and maintenance then does WSI provide at that point?
Um, So most of our clients work with us during the early stages of developing the strategy.
Hmm.
If there's website fixes that need to be done, or maybe they need a new website.
Mm.
Maybe they knew they needed a new website when they first spoke to us, or maybe we uncovered that their website is a mess and needs to be rebuilt. So, they'll work with us at that phase of it, and they'll work with us throughout the full implementation. So we're always there. We're always there to do the heavy lifting. Our team, no matter who is on the project team, it's really dependent on the scope of work for the client. We're there every step of the way.
Mm.
And, once programs get off the ground and they're 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 producing and they're working, um, you know, there there's not as much time or effort required on the client side. So the
Hmm.
client is pretty much there for strategic direction, for approvals, for the results review, going through the report, going through, all the results that were generated and the status of the different parts of the program. But WSI never leaves. I mean, we're
Hmm.
there from the beginning. It's really more, what role does the client play? And I would say in the first 6 months, there's definitely more involvement from the client. And as the program gets kicked off, then WSI completely steps in and the client can kind of take a step back.
So you mentioned that an integrated marketing approach is the best kind of way to go about it. But in terms of content, is there a type of content that you've found to be most effective for industrial clients?
Yeah, you know what? The difference between industrial clients and maybe non-industrial or B2C is that it's usually a much more technical type of service or product that
Mm.
they're manufacturing or selling. So really understanding what they do, and having a really good technical writer is critical, because we've worked with all types of industrial companies that do all kinds of things. And every client is new. Every client, we need to learn their business. So I think the most important thing is to learn their business and understand it, and which is more difficult because it is complex. Um, and then transferring that knowledge into different types of content.
Mm.
So all different formats of content. So interestingly, I recently read that there are over 30 different types of content that Google offers up when you do a Google search. I can't
Wow.
even name all 30 types. I mean, there's blogs, there's website pages, there's videos, there's infographics, um, there's FAQs. That was about five or six. Off the top of my head, there's 25 others. So there's all kinds of content out there. And it's all about writing that good, technically correct content that resonates with that technical buyer.
Hmm.
And then repurposing it into all kinds of different formats that Google and the LLMs, whether it be ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, doesn't matter, Claude, doesn't matter what the LLM is, but that's the type of stuff they're looking for. And they're looking for it on the website, and they're looking for it off the website on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Reddit. So it's become a very complex environment to get that visibility, but it's still very much content driven.
How much of a change is it with all the LLMs now? It used to be, you just go to Google and try to find something, but increasingly, I'm sure people are more going to maybe Chat GPT. Hey, tell me how I can find blah blah blah.
And that's exactly what's happening.
Hmm.
And it's a whole different world today than it was 6 months ago. This past year has in 2025 has probably been the biggest change in SEO since it started. And Google's been around for 30 years. So technically, that's how long search engine optimization has been around. So I think what's really interesting is that really it's not even called search engine optimization anymore. There's so many different names for it. One name is search everywhere optimization. Another is answer engine optimization, AEO. Another is GEO. There's so many different ways to describe it. I kind of like search everywhere optimization because I think it resonates with me because it's indicative of the fact that people aren't just looking on the search engines anymore. They're looking
Hmm.
everywhere.
Hmm.
And what they're really doing is they're starting the LLMs, to your point, Chad. They're doing a lot of research on, let's just say, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is citing different resources and it's compiling very thorough answers for that person who put the prompt in. So that person is doing research in the LLMs. They're being educated. They're pretty close to a decision. And then they're going off the LLMs and they're going to Google and they're validating what they learned by
Hmm.
going to a website or a couple of websites.
So, is there something that you do that makes some you're a client or a business or something stand out to an LLM compared to Google? Sometimes I've used ChatGPT to help me research something. It'll be like, I know I found this resource on Google and it's not using it. Is there something that you do to to kind of bridge all those things together?
Well, that's an interesting question because things are changing literally every day.
Hmm.
Um, and there is no playbook.
Mm,
And
I
if
would
there is a
imagine.
playbook for today, it's going to be different tomorrow.
Hmm.
So everyone is still learning, but there are some clear learnings that agencies and experts in the industry are applying. And one is the old foundational good SEO that gave you visibility before is still important.
Hmm.
So everything's not being thrown out the window.
Hmm.
you know, Rankings, good content, um, writing for the reader, not for the search engines or the algorithms, all of that is still important. So if you did good SEO for the past however many years, you're you're going to be in a good spot to start getting picked up by the LLMs.
Mm.
However, that doesn't mean you keep doing everything exactly the same way. I mean, there is a new way of writing and optimizing your content. Everything is very um, answer or question solution oriented.
Hmm.
I mean, when you think about the prompts, they're usually questions,
Right.
sometimes pretty elaborate questions. So your content needs to answer these questions. That's one reason why FAQs are really important. I would say another big change. So I always like to describe it as, you know, we knew what the playbook was before when it was just Google. Now we don't really know what the new playbook is, but we do know we need to keep doing the good stuff we were doing and we need to do new stuff. So it's like we're playing both ends of the field simultaneously.
Hmm.
And as things evolve, we're going to move down one side of the field more. And as we learn more. So I mean, I think that's one way of explaining what's going
Sure.
on.
Sure. Does WSI work with clients outside of manufacturing, or is that your primary focus?
Yeah. No, of course we do. WSI I mean, we're a very large company. We're global. I think one thing that is really interesting and powerful about our business model is that we have independently owned and operated agencies. So I am a WSI agency, WSI eResults, that operates underneath the global WSI brand.
Mm.
Every agency has their own niche or area of expertise. Mine happens to be manufacturers as well as other B2B companies. Um, some other agencies are purely B2C, but within our network, we've got experts in all types of companies. I mean, we have agencies that specialize in with law firms and financial services. So, um, yes, we everything we do applies to all types of companies, but the actual strategy to get the results is probably what differs.
Okay. Um, is there maybe a common mistake that you see manufacturers make before they start or when they start digital marketing?
Oh, I'd say a big mistake that they make is by trying to do it yourself and do it in-house.
Hmm.
Again, it's kind of the cutting corners. Oh, I don't need to spend that money. Oh, I've got so and so. I've got one person. I've got my marketing person here. There are so many different facets to digital marketing that there is no one person that exists that could do it all.
Mm.
I mean, there's so many platforms you need to learn and certifications you need to get to be able to do something well that, you know, you really need a team of people. And that's what an agency like WSI can bring to the table, where we assemble the project team and we've got 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people with different skill sets. And you bring that together and you develop a strategy and you implement it for the client. And it often can cost less than what an FTE would cost them to hire.
Hmm.
But you've got the benefit of all these different people and a senior level person like me
Hmm.
and developing the strategy. So it actually, they think they're saving money, but they're actually being penny wise and pound foolish, potentially.
Would you say that that's common maybe for not just manufacturers, but a lot of businesses? Like expertise helps regardless?
I think so. Yeah. Across the board. It's like saying I don't need to hire an accountant. I took accounting in college. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not doing my business taxes. So
Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, I want a professional helping me.
So, maybe let's say there's choices out there for manufacturers or people to go to. What would you say differentiates WSI from the crowd?
Yeah. I would go back to our business model
Hmm.
and the fact that we have hundreds of independently owned and operated digital agencies that are all part of a network, and we work together and we leverage each other's resources and expertise. I can pull another agency or person in from another part of the network. We've got partnerships with very powerful technology companies, and suppliers that provide services for us very cost effectively. So we can deliver a lot of value to our clients because of our business model. The other thing I would say is that, speaking for my agency, we're what I consider to be a boutique agency. We're small. I've got a very dedicated and experienced team of internal people. And ironically, everybody has worked for me for at least 10 years. So I'm going to take that as a compliment, and that they love their jobs. But the client will get this very personalized, hands-on attention from us, like because we're a small agency, but they'll get the big company resources and expertise that we pull into it.
Okay.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds,
Yeah.
I would say, for our clients.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been great to talk to you as always, Lisa. Thanks so much. This has been very interesting and informative. And
Thanks,
appreciate your
Chad.
time and your insights.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with Lisa Kilrea. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay connected and keep building relationships that drive results.